Today I want to talk about cardiovascular conditions and how we can use voice analysis to improve patient management and patient monitoring. Within 5 years, about half of these people will have died from what we call heart failure, the structural weakening of the heart muscle. Heart failure is still the #1 hospital admission reason among the elderly people all across the world. And in that, it is the #1 cost driver for virtually every health system out there. And most of these costs are attributable to hospitalizations for congested or decompensated heart failure. So that's really what we need to tackle. Heart failure, you might be familiar with the picture in the middle, the swollen lower legs, swollen ankles that elderly people often have. It's a typical sign of a weakened heart. It's fluid built up in the tissue. Now, the same thing also happens in the lungs, and it happens in the vocal tract around the vocal folds. And that's what changes the sound of voice. In the very extreme, if this was your mom or your dad, you would notice their voice changing, sounding different, but that's when they're about to be hospitalized. Now, we're working on something that can detect that earlier on. The standard of care, so this is what it looks like for a cardiologist from the textbook. On the very left, the patient is doing fine, they're stable. On the very right, they're being hospitalized. And the question is like, how early can we catch it? Standard of care is stepping on a scale. A sudden gain in weight might indicate fluid overload. That's obviously imprecise and signals late. Invasive measurement is the standard of, or is the gold standard, but it can't be done at home. So voice is somewhere in between, and that's why we built Noalab's Vox, the world's first AI model that can hear worsening heart failure. With that, the physician gains just enough time to catch the patient in time to change medications, to control fluid household, to adjust the diuretics, the medication that makes you go pee, lose fluid. So to get the patient back into what they call the hemodynamic equilibrium. This is an optical representation of heart failure. You can already see it looks different for the two kind of states. So we built an AI that comes on top of monitoring systems that generates the alert for the healthcare provider. We've pushed that through several clinical trials in the EU, but also in the US, demonstrating the efficacy of the technology, but also the safety, and we're now working on FDA clearance. That's the core team. Leo, a cardiologist, Markus, a very talented ML scientist, and myself, supported by world-leading cardiologists and ML people.
Okay, that's your 3 minutes. So now we have 2 minutes for questions. Who would like to ask a question? We have one over there and one right here. Let's go quickly with the questions, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So does this happen in the absence of a change in the weight? And does it differentiate between heart failure and infection that happens in the lungs as well?
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
So the change in voice, does it differentiate between heart failure and infection like pneumonia?
Yes, absolutely. So the structural changes that we notice in the lungs and the vocal tract, it's distinct from other issues like catching a cold, having a smoke, anything that might impact voice as well. It's really a distinct pattern in around 200 different variables that we look at.
Okay, next question.
Hi, I'll repeat it. Given that a lot of these patients are older with multiple comorbidities, what's your outcome measurement in terms of detection and their actual outcome in terms of survivorship and quality of life? And second of all, how do you address other potential comorbidities and triggers associated with CHS exacerbation?
That's a great question, digging into the details. So what we look at is, in the end, it's heart outcomes. It's hospitalization. That's what we want to reduce, so catching that. In terms of comorbidities, there are some confounding factors. If we look at COPD and so on, that might have an impact as well. But they often come as comorbidities of heart failure. So there's always a relation with them. And that will, in fact, be the next diseases to look at from a vocal perspective.
Oh, you have 18 seconds to ask your question. It's for him to answer, so go quick.
Yeah, sorry, probably I missed, but what is your business model? How are you going to make money? Who is paying for this?
Value-based healthcare in the US, reducing hospitalizations and costs, charging a percentage of that.
And our time is up. Thank you very much. Thanks for your presentation, Oliver. And now I would like to welcome James Mainwaring. He's the Chief Commercial Officer at InnotiveDx. So your time is on. Let's go. 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Did you know that there was a bacterial infection that uses almost 25% of all antibiotic prescriptions? Today, that problem is urinary tract infection. Most of these are given on an empiric basis, so a doctor's best guess whether you have a UTI and which antibiotic to give. That results in huge treatment failure in the community alone and costs the US $2.3 billion in extra cost. And the reason for this is gold standard testing has not changed since the 1900s. Nobody has been able to create a fast, accurate, affordable point-of-care test for this. And this creates huge problems across women's health and antimicrobial resistance. Over 71% of the 400 million UTIs a year are women. And we've seen a 25% increase in key first-line antibiotic resistance in the last 8 years alone. And by 2050, 10 million people are expected to die from antimicrobial resistant infections each year. For context, that's the same number that die of cancer today. So let's imagine a world where patients and clinicians have access to fast, accurate, and affordable testing at the point of care. That is the solution we're developing at InnotiveDx. We can deliver your lab quality results, whether you have an infection, what that bacteria causing the infection is, and most importantly, which antimicrobial will kill that bacteria. We can deliver all of that data within 1 hour, and some of it within 10 minutes. We can do that all at incredible unit economics. We expect our cartridge to be in the low single-digit dollars. That means not only can we provide better care here in the Western world, but we have the potential to reach millions of people who don't have access to good diagnostics or care today across the world. We have very strong comparative data tested with third-party global medical device companies and our own internal regulatory testing, over 96% across all of these measures. And we're looking for FDA de novo clearance in 2027. This will be a huge milestone, and past this point, we have the opportunity to look at other bodily fluids which could be infected. Think blood or pneumonia. We have an incredibly experienced team here. These are all people who have been there in medical devices and FDA before. They have got approvals done. And for all of you in this audience, we have exciting opportunities to be involved. We're looking for clinical and commercial champions here who can help us run a clinical study. And for investors, we need some help on the manufacturing ramp-up and to run those trials.
Thank you very much. We have to be very strict here. Questions, 2 minutes. Let's go. There's one down there. Anyone here we can prepare the other mic with? Okay, let's go.
And thank you. So what are the limitations of this method? So what are the false positive and false negatives rate, and what are the limitations?
Yeah, sure. So it's really just around how much bacteria you can get into each chamber. Our methodology is looking at individual bacteria and seeing them grow. So we are very, very accurate. We're not reliant on genes. We can see kind of morphological changes. So in UTI, it's making sure that we detect UTI correctly or not, because there's always bacteria in urine. We're very confident that we have a very accurate method at that.
Okay, one more question over there.
Thank you so much. How does it work?
So we capture bacteria in a range of different chambers. We either have antibiotics in those chambers or we have fluorescent dyes, and we're using basically a microscope approach to image individual bacteria. We can either count them, we can look at them growing or dying. Basically, it's around rapid growth.
Right here.
Thanks. I just quickly saw the team slide, but who are the actual founders?
So, so the founder is the Chief Scientific Officer, a guy called Dr. Srijan Jindal. He did his PhD at University of Manchester, then postdoc work at University of Liverpool. That's where it originally span out. His professor, Doug Kell, who's one of the leading microbiologists in the UK, is on our board. And then we've brought in some really key experts around IVD technology development and regulatory into the team to support the commercial scale up and development.
Okay, 9 seconds left. I don't think we can get a question in there. So thank you very much, James.
Thank you very much, Evan.
That was a great pitch. Okay, coming up now is Enric Gibert, CEO at Pharmacelera. And the microphone's right there. And the clock starts now. 5 minutes, 3 to talk, 2 questions.
Okay. Drug discovery is hard. Drug discovery is tough. In fact, the first generation of artificial intelligence drug discovery companies has fallen short with respect to the expectations. And the main reason, the lack of novelty. The proposed molecules have not surprised the chemists. This is so because we have been using oversimplified algorithms that do not model complex molecular interactions properly. In addition, we have been mining the same tiny chemical space in the few millions of compounds, whereas the theoretical chemical space is 10 to the 60. Last but not least, we have been using algorithms that are designed for repetitiveness, image processing, for a problem that requires novelty and creativity. This is why the industry is now paying special attention to physics-based simulations. Coupling artificial intelligence with deep physics will move drug discovery to an unprecedented scale and accuracy. In this regard, at Pharmacelera, we have developed a proprietary in silico molecular modeling algorithm engine called QUAIM that sits on 3 technology pillars. First, accurate quantum mechanics algorithms that model molecular interactions at the atomic and subatomic level. Next, we describe the hydrophobic profile of a molecule, key for druggability and for the novelty of the proposed compounds. Last but not least, scalable artificial intelligence algorithms to mine an exponentially growing and unexplored chemical space. The results, well, users of our QUAIM engine show that we encounter 3 times better molecules, 1,000 times faster than traditional players. At Pharmacelera, we have raised 6 million euros, and we have established a strategic alliance with General Inception, a company igniter from San Francisco. This has helped us create a top-notch multidisciplinary team consisting of computer engineers with high-performance computing and artificial intelligence background, and drug hunters with more than 25 years of industrial experience, and advisors from one of our competitors. We have also validated extensively our algorithms, showing the superiority of our methods, and we have repeating customers both in Europe and the US, including pharmaceutical companies. Last but not least, with General Inception, we have recently launched our joint venture Gaudi Therapeutics in the US. Now we are looking for 5 million euros in exchange of equity in order to boost our strategic business development strategy in the US and to increase the applicability of our QUAIM engine to key areas of growth. This will enable us to boost recurrent sales and become ready for an acquisition by a big software player or a CRO. Here you see some success stories in this regard in the last 3 years. So if you want to learn more, if you want to become a Pharmacelerian, don't hesitate to reach me out.
Okay, we have two minutes for questions. Who would like to ask a question of Enric? Questions? Right here.
Hi there, good talk. I saw that in silico medicine is a big competitor of yours, obviously very successful, multiple pipelines. What's your IP that significantly differentiates you from them, and then what's stopping them from copying what you do?
Yeah, so our QUAIM engine is based on 25 years of research at the University of Barcelona. This is proprietary software, okay, that we have developed internally based on 25 years of research at the University of Barcelona, and we have validated it in real scenarios.
Okay, next question, please.
Yeah, question about the traction. So you were mentioning some partnership with pharma companies. Can you please elaborate on this?
Yeah, we do have customers in the US and Europe, including 4 top pharmaceutical companies and several biotechs in the portfolio of RA Capital or General Inception.
Get it, thanks.
Any more questions? Okay, you have 50 seconds for a last question. Okay, well, it was very clear there, Enric. Thank you for a great pitch. Oh, there's the...
Maybe a question. Do you want to be a biopharma one day, or you want to keep on being AI for drug
Sorry?
discovery? Do you want to be a biotech yourself?
Well, we are launching our first biotech company,
Okay.
spin-off, Gaudi Therapeutics. Okay, we are a technology company, we are an enabler, but we are creating this type of partnerships,
it.
and we're spinning companies. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Enric. Good pitch. I forgot to mention the track that was TechBio track, and now we move to the Solving X wildcard track winner, and that is Markus C. Mueller, who's co-founder and CEO of Nui Care. So, once again, you know the rules. 3 minutes and 2.
Welcome to Nui. We're here to revolutionize home care as we know it today. Did you know that in Germany alone there are 8 million family caregivers taking care of a loved one at home? Unfortunately, home care is incredibly demanding. That's why nearly 50% of them suffer from mental health challenges, and they spend an average of 49 hours weekly on caregiving. So this is not just an individual problem, that's a challenge for our society and affecting our healthcare system and our economy. I've been a voluntary hospice caregiver since 8 years, so I've seen those struggles up close. Every week I visit a family where somebody is nearing the end of life, and as you can imagine, those experiences are profoundly moving, and that was the inspiration for me to start Nui. But this is not my first venture. I started a company called InnotiveDx in 2002 and led it to become the European leader in mobile device management before we sold it to BlackBerry in 2011. Eventually, I joined BlackBerry and became the European CEO for their European business, managing over 4,000 employees and 1 billion in revenue. And when I left BlackBerry, I co-founded a company called AirUp, which has since scaled to over 200 million in revenue and 350 employees worldwide. So when I first encountered the challenges of family caregivers, one story really stood out, and that was Evelyn's. Evelyn at that time was 60 years old. She had a husband, Günther, who was in the late stages of dementia. He could not talk, he could not walk, he required 24/7 care, and Evelyn provided that care by sacrificing her social life entirely. So she had to deal with questions like how to treat someone with dementia, a condition she knew nothing about. She had to learn how to apply for financial support, also something she'd never done before. And all that stress on top of the emotional challenge of seeing a loving person like your partner fading away. So that's why we created Nui, a digital companion for family caregivers. And with Nui, Evelyn now has access to an AI-based chatbot that provides answers to all care-related questions. But Nui is much more than just a chatbot. It's a comprehensive support system with more than 16 individual features covering organizational support, administrational support, and information. The market for a digital companion for family caregivers is huge and growing. Our obtainable market by 2031 in Germany alone is 150 million euros. We can achieve that by getting 500,000 active families onto our platform. And once we expand beyond Germany, the potential for growth obviously is enormous. Our go-to-market strategy is based on recurring contracts with large organizations, and as you can see, we already have some of the largest German health insurers as customers. 2024 has been an exceptional year for us. We've grown our ARR from 50,000 last year to 1.15 million euro today, and we're shooting for 5 million euro next year. So let's imagine a world where caregivers can focus on what matters most for them, caring for their loved ones, without being overwhelmed by administrative tasks, emotional challenges, and the financial worries. With Nui, that world is possible.
Perfect timing. 2 minutes for questions. Down there, please.
What is the difference between, what will be the next country in Europe that you'll be targeting, and what should be the work that we'll be doing on the product to make sure that it fits the new geography in your area?
Yeah, so actually we think that about 20% of the app has to be localized, all the administrational part. I mean, the dementia is the same, and the treatment of somebody with dementia is the same. We will take a look at other markets next year. So we will look at the US, we will look at Japan, because that's the oldest society in the world. We already have some insurance companies have reached out from Japan to us and said they really would like a product like that in their market. We also will look at Spain, France, UK, and Netherlands, but we haven't made up our mind yet.
Next question. Still got 1 minute and 13 seconds for another question. Well, you seem to explain yourself very well, Markus.
Right here.
Okay, here's one.
Not as well, apparently.
No, I just would like to know a little bit more about your team, please. Yeah. How big is the team right now?
25 people right now. There are 4 in the leadership team with extensive knowledge of health tech, and most of our people are tech people, and when we have 5 care experts in our team who provide the care knowledge.
Okay, one more here in 40 seconds.
What's the biggest difficulties you've had in your growth journey?
the biggest difficulties in the growth journey of NUI. So the healthcare system in Germany is huge, but very slow. It's like once you are in an insurance, then it's very unlikely that they kick you out, but the process to win them over is sometimes challenging, and also to explain to people that digitization can actually help solve some problems in the healthcare system in Germany was a long journey, I would say. But it's getting there, we're getting there, and we see that now really is the time where the curve is actually starting to kick off.
Excellent. Markus, thank you very much. Wonderful presentation. And now, up next, the women's health track. The winner was Lidia Navarro Farré, who is Chief Operations Officer and co-founder of the Blue Box. So, let's go.
Breast cancer is the most treatable cancer, but it is still the #1 cancer killer for women. Currently, breast cancer screening is done through mammography, and it's just not that efficient. If we take 3 women with breast cancer, 2 will be detected, and 1 will be sent home. She will have much poorer prognosis. The 2 women will go back to the hospital for further testing. That's good, right? Not exactly. Only 1% of women that are recalled for further testing will end up having breast cancer. So we are expending a lot of expenses and limited resources on women that most of them are healthy, and 1/3 of women are sent home without treatment. And why is that? Dense breast. 50% of women have them. This woman has breast cancer. This woman does not. Can you tell the difference? Dense breasts are perfectly healthy, but they look white on mammogram images. And this has consequences and needs to change. So what are the alternatives? We had blood and tissue biopsies. They're strong in science, but they are invasive and they can cost up to 1,000 euros per test. Another is imaging. Mammography is more suitable for screening, but the low sensitivity for dense breast is a widely discussed topic in the medical community. We needed to look elsewhere. Urine. After 6 years of combined research between the University of Barcelona and the University of California, Irvine, we've identified relevant biomarkers in urine and the optimal sample processing method. How are we doing that? To make a really accessible and really suitable for screening method, we needed to come up with a very, very low-cost, easy-to-use, and accessible test. So we just heat up the urine sample, and those biomarkers that are small enough become volatile and activate our sensors. Our AI processes this signal and creates a pattern that correlates with breast cancer. After working 3 years with 7 hospitals, collecting more than 500 samples from women, we've shown that the blue box is more sensitive than mammography. When mammography gets 73% of cancer, we get 88%. So what's next for us? We will finish next year clinical trials to get CE marked, and we will launch our first market in 2026 in Spain. We have 2 revenue streams, a fee per test and an annual subscription to get in our online diagnosis platform. This is the team that is making it possible. Together we have experience in IVD commercialization, clinical trial designs, and medical regulatory issues. So let's stop flushing data down the toilet and join the blue box in identifying cancer earlier today.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lidia. Questions quickly, right here.
Hi, Lydia.
And
Good
there's another
talk.
one over there.
Peter Liu, physician scientist by background. Obviously, the comparator you showed, Grail has multi-cancer. The only one that's breast cancer specific was Cyantra, which can do their test using existing lab equipment for RNA using PCR for less than $100. What are your thoughts on Cyantra and the fact that blood, they can use existing pipeline versus urine that requires heating up your own tech, may require additional costs and setup for healthcare systems?
Sorry, you mentioned it's at-home
No, Cyantra, the comparator you showed,
Okay.
they're a Canadian-based
Yeah,
company
yeah,
in
yeah.
Calgary. They're based on PCR, which is readily available in labs. They can do their test for less than $100. What are your thoughts in terms of your competition to them where you require additional tech and heating up, which may not be as common in existing systems?
Yeah, we don't see them as competition. I mean, we can coexist, and they are very useful for a confirmation diagnosis. So we can, as I was mentioning, we are aiming to be a screening test, very accessible and easy to use. We can use it everywhere. In the pharmacies can be available, or even general practitioners' offices. So we can coexist and give them the professionals different tools so they can have a more informed decision.
Okay, the other question here. I'm not going to have time for both. Sorry, this one's closer. Go ahead, please.
Can the blue box tech also be extended to other cancers?
Yes, that's interesting. This is something that we want to look for in the future, since we have seen that there's a lot of publication on biomarkers related to ovarian cancer and also endometrial cancer. So we believe that we can, in the future, detect other types of cancer with the same device.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Lidia. Great job. All right, coming up now, the winner of the Connected Care track, Frederico Carpinteiro, CEO of Amparo. Okay, take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Frederico and I'm the CEO of Amparo. And I'm here to talk to you about how we are redefining mobility for lower limb prosthetic users. So imagine that you just lost your limb. And before you can start your rehabilitation process, you still have to go through a very hard and long process just to get your prosthetic device. A trial and error process with multiple steps, with very old methods and manual methods that will not achieve a good result and that will keep you from optimizing your device and keep you from getting a prosthetic for up to 6 weeks in the best case. So this is a process that just in Europe and in the US, 6.5 million lower limb amputees have to go through, and this number is actually expected to double by 2050. And it's costing a lot of money to achieve very poor results. What we've come up with is a very simple method with a new socket that you can fit directly to the patient anywhere by doing it very quickly with a thermomoldable plastic that you heat up with a mobile tool set that you can take anywhere, fit directly to the patient, make the necessary final adjustments, and you can get the patient walking in less than 2 hours and just 1 visit. So if we do a brief comparison, you can see instead of 4 to 7 visits to a clinic, you do it in just 1. It's not a trial and error method because you're directly fitting to the patient's limb. You deliver in the same day in under 2 hours, and you can remold it fully up to 5 times, which means you can keep adjusting, especially for new amputees as they lost weight or their muscle changes. Right now, we are on a journey to drive the next revolution in prosthetic care with single appointment, direct-to-patient remoldable socket that can be fitted anywhere and that is empowered by real-world data, because we also have our technologies that allows us to get activity data and determine what is the functional level and the needs of each individual patient. We have almost 5,000 users at the moment of our sockets, and we are present in over 40 countries, reaching 1 million in revenue this year. Also, our solution is allowing us to have an impact on very specific areas, like the conflict zones, where you cannot get access to prosthetic care. Because we are a mobile solution, you can provide care anywhere, in the hospital, in the clinic, in patient's house, but also in locations where you don't have access to any infrastructure. And as part of that, we are a member of the Restoring Hope initiative. We've been providing prosthetic limbs for lower limb amputees in Gaza, where it's estimated that they have about 15 to 20,000 amputees just of the recent conflict, with 70% of them being women and children. We are also been providing for Ukraine, where we have soldiers using our devices in the front line. And that's it. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention.
Fantastic, right on time, and that means we now have the next 2 minutes for questions. Who's got a question for Frederico over there? I wonder if she's on the jury.
Could you please describe the team a little bit and where you come from?
Yes, so at the moment our team is spread between the UK, Spain, Portugal and the US. I'm the CEO, I'm a biomedical engineer. We have Wesley, that is our CTO, a mechanical engineer, the inventor of the technology. Stuart Mead, our chairman, has over 30 years of experience in startups, including in prosthetics with successful exits. Then we have Priscilla, our sales manager. We have only one salesperson with 1 million revenue, so she's brilliant. We have our clinical manager that is a certified prosthetist. She does all the trainings and helps us guide the clinical development of our tools. Diogo, that is right there, our chief marketing officer that designs all the products and our communication strategy. And then we have a team of other 7 people that help us with operations, manufacturing, and development.
Okay. Thank you and congratulations. What is your IP position?
So we have 2 sides of IP protection. In terms of our socket, we kept it as a trade secret. The materials we use, the plastic composite we use, the layering between the composite and the textile, and the production method, all of that we keep as a trade secret. And then we have IP around the device and the algorithms for the classification of the functional level of the lower limb amputees with our activity monitor, IP around pressure sensors to analyze fitting, and we are developing new IP on adjustability and to make the socket more advanced in terms of using data and be able to adjust in real time, pretty much.
Okay, well, our time is up for the questions. So thank you very much, Frederico, and wonderful presentation. You can see why these 8 are winners, the winners from their tracks. Okay, and now to the last, if I'm not mistaken, yes, of our winners. Last but not least, the winner of the Chronic Disease Management track, and this is Enric Alhanko, CEO at MediTuner. Okay, you've got 3 minutes and 2 for questions.
This is not my slide, sir.
This isn't your slide. Okay, we're not going to start counting yet. Oh, all right, and you are? Sorry, you are?
Dr. Halner,
Okay. 1 second, please. We're going so fast that I got lost. Let's just make sure here. All right, 1 second, please. And Lidia, Carpinteiro, Andreas. Andreas? Is that right? Andreas. Okay. So it's the Cancer Prevention and Care Track. Andreas Halner, President and COO at Oxford Cancer Analytics. And your time is on.
The problem is that the deadliest cancers are diagnosed too late, resulting in it becoming the leading cause of deaths worldwide. Current methods rely on symptoms and invasive approaches, and over half of all cancers are detected at the late stage when they're incurable according to current treatment types, and up to 3 times more expensive to treat than at early stage. Oxcan Solution is a simple blood test able to detect materials predictive of cancer in a safe, routine, and inexpensive way. Unlike most competitors who've conventionally focused on DNA-based approaches with limited sensitivity for early detection, our unique proteomics approach enables us to double sensitivity across 8 types of cancer and just at 1/10 the manufacturing costs and scalable across the world. Lung cancer is the biggest cause of cancer-associated deaths worldwide, and that's why we're focusing here. The market is vast, and we're beginning with the largest subsegment at screening at over 200 billion euros. And over 600 patients, we were able to detect over 90% sensitivity and specificity early stage cancer in a separate independent test set, compared to just 20 to 48% of competitors. Our international biobanks span 3 continents, and we're working with leading academic institutions and healthcare systems, including the NHS. In 2025, going to market with a laboratory-developed test kit for lung cancer, with support with global leaders in diagnostics, including direct investment from Werfen and LOI signed with Randox and Alpha Laboratories. Then with full regulatory approval going to 26 for independent test kits, we already have ISO 13485 certification and are about to submit a breakthrough designation for the FDA, and then scaling in 2028 to other types of cancer, the most prevalent types. By 2028, we want to help over 120,000 patients each year, with annual revenue exceeding 50 million euros, growing exponentially. So how do you do it? Well, we have a multidimensional proteomics approach looking at thousands of proteins per patient blood sample across 3 to 4 different modalities. And then we've got a tailored machine learning pipeline, which is able to distill that down into a succinct panel of 10 to 30 key protein biomarkers. We then translate these into an immunoassay test kit, which can be scalable across the world without further infrastructure and training needs. Our performance compared to competitors is unprecedented at over 90% at early stage detection, compared to just 20 to 50% for competitors. And that's due to our unique proteomics approach, our leading early stage patient cohorts worldwide, and of course, our affordability. Our team has got the diverse expertise required to make this a success. My co-founder and CEO, Dr. Peter Liu, is a physician scientist with over 10 years of cancer research experience, during which his lab was awarded the Nobel Prize. Myself, with a machine learning and medical background from University of Oxford as chief data scientist for 5 years of the EU-wide clinical research collaboration. Our SVP, Heinrich Roder, who has already launched multiple lung cancer products in the US market with 3 decades of cancer research experience and brought the company from founding to the NASDAQ. We just finished $11 million Series A. We've got a second window open. Please join us in this crucial mission to impact lives of millions and their families.
Thank you, Andreas. Perfect. Now let's go to the quick questions. Question over on that side, please.
So does it give you any information regarding the targeted therapy and immunotherapy, or just diagnosis, yes, no, cancer?
Thanks. We're focusing initially on screening. However, the other subsectors of the market for recurrence detection and therapy determination are also part of our eventual pipeline for our biomarker discovery.
Okay, who's over here? We've got one. Quickly.
When you say screening, do you think and do you have in your strategy general population screening, or is it a screening like after nodule has been found in the lungs in a XR?
Fantastic question. So we're focusing first of all on high-risk patients according to known clinical criteria. We're integrating ourselves already right now in vast 10,000 plus patient screening programs which already exist today based on patients' age and smoking history. And then later on down the line, we're also going to expand to include other patients with other risk factors, such as environmental and beyond.
Okay, one more question. Time for one more question right here. Aki, Manuel?
Good talk, Andreas. Based on the product market fit, any existing traction locally and internationally?
Thank you. Yes, we're working with leading healthcare systems across the world, UK, North America, and Asia, in screening programs which are already set up in the NHS, for example, and a variety of trusts there. These are patients, trials of 10,000 plus patients and more, which means that we can rapidly enter the market. We've already established ourselves in terms of performance. All of the data I was just talking about are directly in patients in the high-risk population who would be making use of the product in terms of their criteria.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Andreas. Great presentation and great pitch. And now, last but not least, we have the winner of the Chronic Disease Management track, and that is Enric Alhanko, CEO at MediTuner.
Hi, thanks for having me here. My name is Enric Alhanko, and I'm the CEO of MediTuner. And today I will present how we are changing the care for respiratory diseases and our digital tool AsthmaTuner. The first problem that we assessed, or that we addressed, is asthma, which is the world's most common chronic disease. What is good about asthma, however, is that there are very effective medications available. In fact, almost all patients can become symptom-free if they treat themselves correctly. However, today, 50% of the patients don't manage to adjust their daily medication according to the doctor's instruction, hence causing unnecessary symptoms, low quality of life, and high cost for the society. AsthmaTuner was started as a research project at the Karolinska University and the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden, with the aim to help patients empower themselves to take control of their own disease. Patients use our app and our digital spirometer. And in the app, they receive instant care instructions according to the latest guidelines. And all data is shared with the doctor for digital treatment. We have a patent that makes us the only app that actually can provide instant individualized treatment instructions directly to the patient, meaning that we're not only a system for gathering data, we are a system that helps patients manage their daily lives with a chronic disease. In just 15 seconds and in 3 simple steps, patients can, at their home, measure the lung function, report the symptoms, and then get an objective feedback of their asthma control that day and a clear instruction how to optimize medication in order to stay optimally treated. The tool is modular, scalable, and sold as a subscription service to healthcare providers as payers. Currently, we have 3 modules that are being used in clinics. It's one for self-care, one for diagnosis, and one for spirometry. And we have 2 new models coming out in the beginning of next year for other respiratory diseases. Our patients love our app, and we are super proud of the user engagement. 60% of the patients use our app daily. And last year, we were awarded by 45 European patients' organizations for having developed the best trials, but more importantly, it also works in real world. Just less than a year ago, the results from the largest European real-world implementation of digital asthma care showed a significant improvement in both patient outcome and in health economy, with an 18% increase in patient lung function, a 25% reduction in number of primary care visits, and a more than 50% reduction in time spent per consultation. This led that we, only a month ago, became the first app-based medical device to be included in the public health insurance or public health reimbursement in our home market, Sweden. Next steps for us is that we are wrapping up our first clinical trial in the US together with Mayo Clinic, where we integrated our tool with a serious AI algorithm and scaling up in our international commercialization. Thank you for listening.
Perfect. Eric, 2 minutes for questions. Where are questions? Okay, right over there.
Sure. So there are two founders, one medical doctor at the Karolinska University Hospital and one associate professor within allergology at the Karolinska Institute. Those are the two founders. Then we have 3 specialized educated asthma COPD nurses that are taking care of our commercial activities and implementation among hospitals and clinics. And then we have a strong tech team with our CTO, for example, used to work for the most downloaded Swedish app.
Okay, another question? Still have time for 1, maybe 2, if we go fast. No more questions? Okay, you explained your... Or would you like to ask another one?
We have raised roughly 6 million euros so far.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you.
Great job.